On today's show, the Hawks add a new wing to the roster, plus the fourth Summer League game for Atlanta. And spoiler alert, the Hawks are 4-0 in Las Vegas. We'll get into all of what transpired, the Houstan signing, and more coming up.
You are Locked On Hawks, your daily Atlanta Hawks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 2024 of the Locked On Hawks podcast. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Thursday evening into Friday here in mid-July. And today's show is brought by the folks at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances right now with Monarch Money and use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. I also want to encourage you at the top of the show, as I always do, to make Locked On Hawks your first listen each and every day. Check us out and subscribe to the podcast anywhere you find your podcast. That includes Apple and Spotify. We're also on YouTube, so please like this video as you are watching it and tell your friends about the show as well. Later on in the podcast, I'll be discussing the Hawks' fourth Summer League game. And by the way, they are now 4-0 in Las Vegas. We'll get into all of what transpired in that game, where they go from here and more. But first, a non-Summer League topic, and it's a roster topic and a signing that was reported today that I feel like it's a big enough deal to begin the podcast with it in the first segment today. And that is good. My good friend Mike Scotto of Hoops Hype, who reports very well. Mike does a great job breaking news and gathering things, etc. He reported Thursday morning that the Hawks have agreed to a 1-year deal with Caleb Houstan. Notably, this is still only a report. Usually I try to give you all the details about like what's official and what's not. The Hawks to date have not confirmed this deal to me or others. I do trust Mike, who does a really good job, so I think this is correct, but we're still in the report phase, and I want to be very clear about that. This is not one where I can go ahead and confirm details for you. I don't have them right now. This is a report from Mike, and I just want to note that I am pretty confident for making calls that it isn't going to be more than the minimum for Caleb Houstan. So if this gets done, as I think it's going to, and announced, it'll be the minimum. In fact, it could even be non-guaranteed or partial guaranteed. All that stuff's kind of in the ether right now. But at the very least, it's a 1-year deal reported by Mike Scotto for Caleb Houstan. And notably, his minimum would count the same against the cap, about $2.3 million as any non-rookie, basically. Any veteran with at least two years of experience has the same number against the cap and the tax. So we know right now, basically, what he will be making on a minimum contract, if that is the case for Atlanta. And I want to say at the top of this discussion, I like this signing. The Hawks are realistically kind of limited in what they can offer to outstanding free agents right now. And I use the word realistically on purpose because they have other mechanisms, but it seems like for all the world, they will be under the tax once again. And that was predicted and noted by basically everyone coming into the summer. But aside from Amir Coffey, who I've been talking about for a while, who I do think is a little bit better than Houstan right now. Houstan is, by the way, younger than Coffey. And I still would have had Houstan pretty high on my list of available wing guys that I would at least offer the minimum to. So in a vacuum, I would have offered Caleb Houstan the minimum, and the Hawks have done that. So that makes total sense to me. And by the way, Caleb Houstan is spelled with an A instead of an O at the end of his name. That will be misspelled by everyone for all time, I'm sure. But Caleb Houstan is apparently going to be joining the Hawks. Just for his bio, he's 6'7", 6'8", wing with a 6'11" wingspan. He was the 32nd pick of the draft out of Michigan in 2022. Spent his first 3 seasons with Orlando, played in about 170-ish games, made 23 starts with the Magic in 3 seasons. He's only 22 years old, roughly the same age as Dyson Daniels. So this is a guy who could have been like in this year's draft. Like he is younger than some guys who were drafted in the first round this year. So keep that in mind. Also, this is kind of an interesting note. He was in the same college recruiting class as Kobe Buffkin at Michigan. They came in at Michigan at the same time. Played as freshmen together. Houstan went to the league. Buffalo went back to college for 1 more year, and here they are back together again in Atlanta. And look, I'll just be clear about this. The number one appeal for Caleb Houstan by a wide margin is his three-point shooting. He is a good shooter. He didn't shoot great as a rookie. Rookies are generally bad, as I say all the time on the podcast. In the last 2 seasons with Orlando, he has shot 38.5% on threes, and that's on 11 attempts per 100 possessions. That's a lot of volume and a lot of accuracy for a young guy with size. That's a big-time shooter basically on real volume. By the way, he's also attempted 89% of his shots from the field have been from 3 in the last 2 years. So he's basically just been a specialist, like The closest comparison on the Hawks recently is Garrison Matthews. They're not exactly the same player, but certainly somewhat similar. And people are making that comparison. I can't blame you for that. At least the role as far as like specialist wing shooter is kind of the same. To me, he definitely profiles as a guy who will benefit from playing with Trae Young. He has never to date played with a big time kind of set you up point guard. Orlando is built around their wings and Paolo and Franz, even Jalen Suggs. Trae is different than those guys, a much better passer than those guys are. And that should help someone like Houstan. And just generally speaking, Houstan adds another guy to the Hawks that has to be defended and creates space and gravity for his teammates, for himself on offense. That's by far the biggest thing for Houstan. And look, big picture, I would say shooting has been very clearly a massive priority for Ansi Saleh in this front office so far. And honestly, it should have been. Like, I've been banging the drum for a while, I would say multiple years now, that the Hawks just have not had enough shooting on their roster. And it's made everyone's lives more difficult on offense, particularly with the way they want to play. Quinn Snyder likes to take threes, not only threes, he also likes shots at the rim, but they like to have space, they like to play fast, and having more shooting helps everyone through that lens. Now, basically, they have no one on the roster right now that can't shoot, like literally no one. Last year, the only guy on the team that could definitely just not shoot at all was Capella. Right now, they have no one like that. The closest might be like Eli Njai on a two-way, but Kongwu is a developing shooter. Porzingis is an elite shooter, etc. They brought in, three big-time shooters now with Porzingis, Kennard, and Houstan, who are obviously Houston's well below those guys as far as like being an established NBA player. But as far as shooting is concerned, he's a big-time shooter. Plus, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is also a good shooter as well, with a proven record of being a good shooter over the last couple seasons. And look, to be honest, Caleb Houstan has not shown a ton else in his career so far. Famously, he has 0 dunks in his NBA career in 3 seasons. It's actually kind of hard to do. I will say he's not quite as bad of an athlete as that makes it seem, but he doesn't do really anything near the rim right now, and he's not a great athlete at all. Like I will definitely say that, not a great athlete. Does have good size, and just doesn't really attack the rim at all off the dribble. The size does help. He is a bit thin. He does have small forward like length with a 6'8" or so, 6'11" wingspan. I would say he's definitely still closer to a 2-3 hybrid than a 3-4 positionally, but certainly can play the 3 a little bit. I would generally say, by the way, I keep seeing these really, really bad depth charts that have the 5 traditional positions listed: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, etc., on broadcasts and on the internet. Number one, they're all bad, which is fine. NBA TVs today had Keaton Wallace on it, who's not been signed. They had Eli Njai at center. They had Porzingis at the 4. Like, just lots of weirdness that I would not endorse. But generally speaking, I think it's not the way to do it anymore. Like, you're either a wing or a 4. I get it. There's different positional designations, but Houstan would probably slot at the 3 if you're doing a traditional depth chart. I just wouldn't, because look, here's a spoiler alert for you. The Hawks are going to play Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker at the 3-some. That's just what's going to happen. It's fine. Those guys are primarily not 3s, but they can definitely play there. Say, Ricochet's a 3. I get all that. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, but he's more of a 2-3 than a 3-4, I'll say. Defensively, he's improving. From what I've been able to glean in the last few hours, making calls to people in Orlando who covered him closely, he came into the league very skinny, and I saw him play in college a lot. Like, he was definitely not developed physically. Combining that with a fact that he's not a great athlete again, and he was 19, he was young. It was pretty ugly as a rookie defensively for sure. He has gotten better from there. I heard a lot of positives about his off-ball defense and the growth that he's made there, particularly last season. Some of his kind of advanced metrics improved defensively last season in Orlando. He doesn't really create a lot of havoc. He's not a great on-ball defender, but I think he's like okay from what I can see now. I will be trying to watch some more film on him in the coming days, but I think he's not going to be a stopper by any means, but hopefully just be able to be out there and be okay and have some good length as a wing player. Rebounding wise, he's pretty bad, particularly as a 3. His steal rate was up last year. That's a good sign, generally speaking, only to a modest level, but that's his defensive profile. Offensively, again, doesn't do much besides shoot, honestly. Decent cutter at times, but a below average passer, I would say, for the wing. Again, people were talking about Garrison Matthews. He's probably the closest thing that the Hawks are going to have to Garrison Matthews on the roster this season. They're not exactly the same. He is 2 or 3 inches taller than Garrison and a lot younger, by the way. So there's more potential juice. I would say a lot more upside than Garrison brought, but a similar kind of archetype as a specialist kind of wing player. And he has played a decent amount, but not a ton. For example, last 3 years, he was 11th, 13th, and 11th in minutes played for the Magic in each season. That's kind of the role he's going to be in Atlanta. Like, if I were to guess right now where he finishes in minutes without knowing anything else, injuries, etc., I would say probably like 12th, something like that, 13th. So that makes sense. That's kind of the role that he should be in some ways. I would say if everyone is healthy coming into the season, I would say he will not play on opening night because he's not probably one of their top 9 or 10 guys. That's fine. He'll probably battle with someone like Vit Krejci for minutes in that kind of secondary wing position behind the likes of course, Trey. You got Trey Dyson, Nikhil, and Kennard that will all play, plus Ricochet. Those 5 guys are going to play perimeter minutes. So you might get one more on most nights, whether it's Kobe Buffkin or it's Vit Krejci or it's Caleb Houstan. There are names there for you, but I would say he isn't going to be in the top 9 or 10 opening night. In fact, right now, he is the second to last guy, I would say, on a full contract. I would put Jurisic below him in the pecking order, but I would certainly say he is not ahead of anybody else that's on a full contract with the Hawks right now because these guys are all kind of entrenched to some degree. A funny quirk before we move on, his career best game as an offensive player came against the Hawks. In January 2024, he had 25 points and 7 threes in a game against Atlanta, if you remember that one well. And again, big-time shooter. And one more thing here. The background on him is fantastic from what I can glean. The feedback about his work ethic, like someone told me today who covers the Magic that he was regarded as the hardest worker on the entire team. That's obviously a good sign. A guy who's going to try to get better and try to, he's still young. Again, 22 years old, should get better hopefully in the future. Already has gotten better in the last couple seasons. So a lot to be positive there. Again, slots in behind Dyson, behind Nikhil, behind Ricochet, behind Kennard, among the wingy guys, maybe for me, probably behind Vit as well. And again, for me, broadly speaking, this is a good depth signing with some upside. He's still young. He has a real marketable skill with the shooting. That's the only thing that you can definitely be sure about with Houston right now. But it's not a deal that you throw a parade over. But look, simply put, there are guys that are available that I think are better than Caleb Houstan. Just put that out there. With that said, it takes 2 sides to sign a free agent. You can't just choose the guy you want and say, here you go, and he has to sign it. Like I mentioned before, Amir Coffey, I think is better than Caleb Houstan right now. Not by it that much, but better. Like for instance, the best guys that are available right now, probably like Al Horford, Chris Paul, some of the old guys. You can't just snap your fingers and say you're signing. Like you're hoping to get those guys maybe. I know that I talked about Horford earlier this week. It'd be great if the Hawks could sign Al Horford. Maybe they still will. I would guess it's probably not super likely, but it's possible. Regardless, you got Houston to agree to a deal. It's a good signing on the minimum for me, and they still have a roster spot available right now. 1 open roster spot plus 1 two-way spot. You got Keaton Wallace kind of in the ether out there. Obviously, I'll get into kind of the finances later on, maybe into next week. But they're still under the tax. They can sign another player under the tax with the minimum. And that's kind of my broad breakdown of Caleb Houstan at the beginning of the podcast. So I went a little bit longer than I planned to, but it's an interesting signing. Hopefully I'll get some details on the deal itself. Again, I heard it was reported as 1 year from Mike. I heard it's probably the minimum, and it could even be non-guaranteed. We'll see. But stay tuned for more on this. But big picture, again, I like the move. It isn't going to win you a championship, but it's one that I would endorse in a vacuum, and we'll leave it there for now. All right, more to come on this podcast when it comes to the Summer League Hawks and their 4th victory of Las Vegas. We'll get into all that and more in just one moment. Today's show is brought to you by OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you actually had an urgent need in your own life, perhaps for a plumber or a service provider. If the first person that you called didn't answer, did you actually wait on them? You probably didn't. You probably moved on, and that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system, and it's built to streamline customer communications all from an app on your phone or on your computer. And OpenPhone, they let you manage your business calls and your texts in a single app. And they have a shared inbox feature that's an absolute game changer. Your whole team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat at all. And they have OpenPhone's AI agent that can handle all of your calls after hours, answer common questions, and capture any leads so you don't miss any customers at all. OpenPhone is also offering my listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's OPENPHONE, openphone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over for you at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, we'll dive in now to some Summer League basketball action in Las Vegas. The Hawks won their 4th straight game in the desert, 92-88 over the Grizzlies. Kind of an up and down game, I would say. They led for the majority of the night. Well, I guess it was the afternoon in the desert, but ended up winning by not quite enough, as we'll get into later on, to advance. The Hawks are going to be 4-0, and they will not make the top 4, the final 4, the semifinals, however you want to put that, they will be eliminated from postseason contention in the Summer League bracket. Long story short, this changed a few years ago where they've made the tournament shorter to make the event shorter. In older iterations, the Hawks would have been still playing for the title as of Friday or Saturday, but now they're going to be done and will play only one more game that will not mean, quote unquote, anything for the standings. But it's Summer League, not really why you're there anyway. But 4-0 is 4-0, and it's been a nice week for the Hawks in the desert. For the record, Jacob Toppin did not play in this game after he left the game on Monday with a hip injury. I covered that on the podcast earlier this week. And by the way, I discussed a lot of things with Lauren Williams of the AJC. So if you missed that, that was a fun chat earlier this week about Summer League from Vegas. On Toppin, no more updates right now that I've heard about his seriousness of the injury, but he didn't go today. They started Kobe Johnson in his place, and they had Noah Jr. Joseph play at center. 11 guys played for Atlanta in this one. It was the starting five of Bufkin, Juricic, Kobe Johnson, Asa Newell, and Noah Jr. Joseph. And the bench was Adam Flagler, Jack McVay, Jack White, Jake Stevens, Javen Johnson, and the first debut of Davon Smith, who's been injured this week, the point guard that was actually spent some time at Georgia Tech, among other places. The Hawks came into the day with a chance to advance, and they were winning comfortably in the second half. They were plus 28 point differential. There have been a lot of blowouts in Summer League this year. Usually the Hawks profile of 4-0 with a plus 32 point differential would be enough to make the Final Four. But this year there's been a lot of undefeated teams, and they just didn't quite do it because they weren't able to get a blowout win here. But as for the game itself, they had some sloppy starts in this one. They actually turned the ball over twice in the first possessions. They had 4 straight empty trips. They were actually down 7-0. There was some bleeding stopped by the Kobe and Kobe duo of Johnson and Bufkin. They had the first 8 points of this one for Atlanta. Defensively, it was kind of mixed, I would say, and kind of bad at times early in this one. They allowed 20 points in like 6.5 minutes. They allowed 4 offensive rebounds and some breakdowns defensively. They did make 4 threes in the first quarter and then actually cooled off a lot. They had 4 in the first quarter and only 4 the rest of the game. So it was actually 5 in the first quarter and 3 the rest of the game. My apologies. Jack McVay, though, stayed really hot. He was the scoring leader for the Hawks in this game with 20 points and 11 shots. It's 2 games in a row now that the 29-year-old forward from Australia has been the hottest shooter, and that was the case in this game. I thought the bench unit played with a lot of pace in this one. It was the first time all week that 0 of the roster guys, and when I say that, I mean Juricic, Newell, Bufkin, anybody that's on a contract, basically, none of those guys were on the court at all. They went with a totally backup unit for the first time all week, and that actually played pretty interestingly. It didn't last too long. I thought Asa Newell was good as the game went along, but struggled early on. Had some rookie mistakes early, missed some short roll reads, missed four his first 5 shots. Defensively, had a couple breakdowns, but he, after that point in time, was really good in the second half, which was good to see him bounce back after that slow start. Offensively, it was productive in the first half, other than 10 turnovers. And second half, they kind of flipped. They shot really well in the first half and turned the ball over a lot. The second half, they couldn't make a shot and then stopped turning the ball over. So what are you going to do? It's Summer League. After halftime, Juricic was really quiet in this game, like all the way around. But he was more loud, I would say, in the second half. So in the first half, he took 1 shot and was really kind of invisible. And he took 3 shots in the first 90 seconds of the second half, which is kind of funny. I was impressed by Asa Newell's motor a lot in the first half. He changes ends really well and just doesn't stop running, which I love in a big man. He was great in the third quarter, kind of flying around, using his energy and his tempo to kind of create some advantages for the Hawks. He beat his man down the floor for an easy bucket that honestly he just created out of nothing because it should have been. And he just ran faster than his opponent, which is nice to see. Ball movement wise was pretty good. They actually were up by 14 late in the third quarter and up 10 going into the fourth. The lead got down to like 6 or 7 early in the fourth until Buff got a 3-point play. McVay had a jump shot. Actually a cutting layup as well. But the rest of the offense in the fourth quarter for like the first 7 or 8 minutes was very rough. They started 3 of 13 from the floor in the fourth. A couple turnovers, missed free throws. It was kind of sloppy. And there was a 10-0 run by Memphis. The Hawks were up by 10. They erased that lead entirely. And I tweeted in the moment, and I honestly, this ended up being right, that little mini run by the Grizzlies basically ended the Hawks' chances of making it to the semifinals. They kind of had to win by like 15 plus probably to make it. And that as soon as that happened, it was like, oh, they're not going to do this. And ultimately, it wouldn't have mattered because Charlotte blew out San Antonio, but alas. Late in the game, they did bounce back. Kobe Johnson split a pair of free throws for the lead. Then Memphis did score, but back-to-back, the biggest offensive plays of the entire game were coming up. So after actually a nice drive by Bufkin that ended up being a swing for a wide open three, the Hawks missed it, and they go down by 3 points. I was like, oh man, they're going to lose this game, aren't they? And then this sequence actually won it for them. So Newell has a big block at the rim when they're down by 3 with like 1:10 to go. That kind of salvaged things. If that shot goes in, they're down by 5. It isn't over, but they're definitely teetering. But that was a nice play by Newell at the rim. And then Bufkin got the ball, drove, and scored to go down by 1. So a 4-point swing there. Then they get a stop again. And then Adam Flagler hits what ended up being the game winner on a nice pull-up jump shot in the lane, like a 12-footer for the lead with under a minute to go. And then they got another stop after a nice contest at the rim by Newell again. And then the Grizzlies had to foul. Kobe Johnson makes both free throws to go up by 3 points. Then Brian Bailey, the head coach for Summer League and the assistant for the Hawks, has them foul intentionally up by 3. It almost bit them. It was close to being a 3-shot foul. It was ruled to be on the floor. I think it was the right call, but risky to be sure. But they foul. Memphis misses the first one, makes the second one. So the Hawks are up by 2. All they had to do was get the ball in bounds, and they did that. McVay made both free throws, and that was the end of the game. But again, for me, the 3 biggest plays of the game, the Newell block with 1:10 to go, Bufkin's drive for a bucket, and then Flagler's game-winning jump shot. That three-play sequence ended up winning the game for the Hawks, in addition to McVay being awesome off the bench, and certainly a team effort for the Hawks. But so look, as I always say, the results are not really what's important in Summer League, but it's much better for everybody's kind of morale if you win. And the Hawks, again, won their 4th game here in a row, and all of them at times, they've been kind of scuttled a little bit and had to bounce back, and that happened again in this game. So we'll get into the player-by-player stuff in a second, but I wish that's my big takeaway is like, look, they won't be advancing, but they definitely deserve to advance. They played really well these first 4 games. They'll have 1 more to go, but even with all of that, they had a nice balanced win today and a nice little way to leave things if they shut guys down or whatever after this. So we'll see, but stay tuned in a second. We'll have the player-by-player evaluations from Newell, from Bufkin, from McVay, and more in just a moment. Today's show is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever wish that managing your money felt just a little bit easier? With Monarch Money, it absolutely can feel easier. Whether you're growing your savings account or planning a big purchase, Monarch Money puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And at Monarch Money, they're just more than just a budgeting app. It's instead a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, your investments, and your spending all in one place. So on top of managing your money, you're also building wealth, which we all want to build wealth. I can tell you that right now. Having all your financial tools also in one place make things easier and more convenient for you. There's actually no wasting time with juggling multiple apps. And if you're anything like me, you will also find you might have a ton of subscriptions piled up in the past. And at Monarch Money, they clean the stuff up for you in a big time hurry. Get rid of stuff that you actually don't need. Clean it up. Save money in the process. Take control of your finances overall with the folks at Monarch Money, and use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year with Monarch Money. One more time, the place to go is monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA, 50% off your first year. All right, to the player-by-player breakdowns on this 4th Summer League game. And I said before, but I also want to just emphasize, there's a chance that these are kind of the last games for some guys, but hey, they've been trying all week long. Maybe they'll have everybody playing game 5. We just don't know just yet. And broadly speaking, we do not know, as I'm recording this podcast on Thursday night, when their 5th game is going to be. They are eliminated from the actual quote-unquote playoffs, but they will play a game. It won't be Friday. They've already announced Friday's schedule, so it'll be either Saturday or Sunday. They'll play one more game. TBD on that, but you have to find it on social media or wherever post recording, because I want to get this podcast out on a Thursday evening. With that said, to the players, I won't go through everybody as I always would not in Summer League, but 11 guys played for Atlanta. Couple observations here. Davon Smith played his first minutes for the Hawks in Summer League after he had the lower leg injury earlier on this week. Looked pretty good to me. Had a couple nice passes, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. Sorry, 4 points, 3 rebounds for Smith. But a couple of nice looks. Just was under control. Did his job, backup point guard in this game. Jack McVay was awesome again. People asking me if he's gonna make the team. Like, I would guess not on that, but hey, anytime this is a guy, and as I said in the preview with Glenn Willis last week or 2 weeks ago now, Jack McVay was on a 2-way last year with Houston. Like, he's a fringe NBA player, and I mean that in a positive way. Like, he's not a zero prospect. He just happens to be 29 years old, so it's kind of a tough sell. But like, he's a big time shooter, like a proven big time shooter at 6'8" or so, kind of a combo 4 type of 20 points on 11 shots, just buckets. Doesn't do a ton else, honestly. 1 rebound, 0 assists. Like, defensively, kind of not the best, but hey, you have a job for a long time playing basketball when you're that tall, you can shoot. And McVay will be playing professionally somewhere. I don't know if it's going to be in Atlanta or College Park or anything like that, but we'll see. He was really good in this game once again. Adam Flagler, biggest shot of the night for the game winner, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists for Flagler, had a steal as well in 15 minutes. 2 of 5 on twos, 2 of 6 from 3. He's a big time shooter as well. Same thing I would say about McVay, like clearly a fringe NBA player, if not better than that. We'll just have to see if he lands in College Park or somewhere else, but certainly had a decent week so far. Kobe Buffkin, 14 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists for Buffkin, 1 steal, only two turnovers in this game. The Stars didn't play a ton in this one. Like he played the most. He was 4 of 9 on twos, 1 of 5 from 3. So it wasn't super efficient in this game, but I thought he played under control, like played better than he did the other day. He just shot a little bit worse today than he did on Monday, but a totally fine game for Buffkin at the point of attack, and then had that nice drive at the end. That was a big shot. Kobe Johnson, nice game, 12 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, active defensively. He's a limited offensive player, but certainly made his shots in this one, which is good to see from him. Asa Newell was probably the standout in this game, 14 points, 8 rebounds for Asa, 2 steals, good activity. Like I said before, the first half was kind of mixed, especially the first quarter and a half. But from the end of the first half to the second half and beyond, like he was really good for about the last 2.5 quarters. Like really good activity, and that's what I care about most. Like he looks the part. He didn't make a 3 in this game; it was 0 for 2, but the stroke looks fine to me. Like he missed 4 free throws. That's an area to be a little bit worried about. But I think that offensively, like he was active, sprinting, and then defensively making the right reads. Like a couple unfortunate breakdowns, I would say, for a rookie big, which is totally fine. But I thought he was pretty good the last 2.5 quarters. I thought Noah Jr. Joseph was solid in this one, 2 points, 5 rebounds in 20 minutes. And then Juricic was kind of quiet, I will say, like not bad. So my distinction that I would draw was the first game of Summer League. He was really actively bad most of the game. Today he wasn't. He was just kind of quiet, just didn't do a ton. 7 points on 8 shots, 3 rebounds, 3 fouls, 2 assists, 3 turnovers. Like he wasn't good, but he wasn't bad either. So that's okay. You kind of live with that, and no big deal in a Summer League setting. So all that said, that was a lot of information, but 4 games down, 1 more to go for the Hawks in Las Vegas. Again, don't know when the game's going to be yet. It'll be Saturday or Sunday, according to what I've been told by the league in prefacing the tournament schedule, etc. Friday's schedule has already been announced, and the Hawks are not on it, so I'm assuming that means they won't play. But hey, that could change too. So stay tuned. Social media is the best place to find the real-time updates on all that stuff. But we do know officially, as I'm recording this podcast on Thursday, that the Hawks are not advancing. So I'll have 1 more game, and that'll be it in the desert. As for the podcast, we'll have coverage of that game no matter what, and then we'll be kind of in off-season mode. If you're a new listener to the podcast, we do not go away when the season, quote unquote, ends. In fact, I'll be doing multiple episodes each and every week all summer long. A lot of podcasts kind of go dark from the mid-July until camp window. It's like 2.5 months of quiet. Not for us. We are still rolling all the time on this podcast. So please go ahead and subscribe to Locked on Hawks anywhere you find your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, etc. Follow the show on X/Twitter at Locked on Hawks. Follow me there at BT Rowland. I am also on Blue Sky at BT Rowland. And you can follow my non-podcast coverage of the Hawks in one place, and it's patreon.com/BT Rowland. All right, everybody, enjoy your Thursday evening into Friday, and we'll see everybody next time.